Hi guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. This week I'm reviewing a movie that just came out by one of my favorite studios, A24, Free Fire. I'd like to start off by saying I was really anticipating this movie. A24, it makes some of my favorite movies recently. I think they're one of the only studios right now that takes a lot of risks. They don't really mess around with big franchises, and all their work is really original. And they put out some amazing movies like Room and Ex Machina, and I personally loved Under the Skin. And basically I was just like, I'm ready for another really original, just something that's going to blow me away. This movie features Brie Larson, Armie Hammer, and Cillian Murphy, and a ton of other actors who, they have good pedigrees, and there's got a lot of star power in this movie. So the plot of this movie isn't too complex. Basically what it is you have one group of people and another group of people, and they're gangs, they're criminals, and they're going to make an exchange for money for guns, and things just go crazy and everybody starts shooting everybody. Right off the bat, I have to say right away that the plot of this movie is really thin, but I wasn't expecting a whole lot plot-wise from this, looking at the trailers and basically the story of this movie. Now the style of this movie, I'd heard buzz around that it was kind of like a Tarantino-esque movie. This movie is straight Tarantino. You could tell they were going for just everything about his style. There's some really good banter in the movie, especially between Armie Hammer and a couple of the other characters. And Cillian Murphy, a lot of them, there's a lot of really good banter and dialogue like you would expect from a movie that's emulating Tarantino's style. Also, there's a ton of physicality in this movie, and a lot of violence that's very graphic, but it doesn't have, it's hard to explain, but Tarantino's violence isn't the in-your-face violence of a horror movie, but it's still really graphic. You have the main characters, they're all shot up throughout the movie, they're crawling around, there's a lot of, falling, and just a ton of physical acting. And it's all pulled off really well. They really sell their situations and their feelings and how they're just, their bodies are breaking down. Now, the acting in this movie is pretty good. You have these characters that have to play these people that are, they're all shot up, and they're still having these quippy little things about them. And I thought, surprisingly, Armie Hammer was my favorite part of the movie, and just his little back and forths and his little jokes, they really, helped with the flow of the movie. This movie did a good job of breaking apart the violence and the really grittiness of the movie with these little funny moments that, it helped the movie along, it helped it not feel too heavy. I was actually a little upset that Brie Larson, surprisingly, she's not given a lot to do in this movie, and it almost felt like what they did with her in Kong. She's better in this than she was in Kong, and she does a good job when she is on screen. They just didn't give her enough, and I feel like this is the studio that had, they had Room, they had her greatest performance, a really fantastic Oscar-worthy performance, and I guess they didn't write enough dialogue for her. The tone of this movie works really well. I like that it was set during the 70s. They used some of the music from the 70s a little softer, and they used it as a backdrop to these really violent scenes in the movie, and I thought that was a cool little mix together. Also in this movie, there is a ton of really good tension. You never know what's going to happen, and especially in the beginning of the movie, it is like a bomb that is primed to explode, and it's really satisfying when just everything goes off, because it's quick, but it builds up, and they did a really good job of that. The gunplay in this movie is pretty cool. It's the namesake of the movie, so obviously it's going to be. It's just funny though, because they're if you have John Wick here for shooting, and you have stormtroopers here, this movie is closer down to the stormtroopers. These people can't hit anything, but I guess it makes sense because they're not trained assassins. They're just your everyday low-level criminal. My only really negative to the movie is I didn't care for the ending. I can see how someone could like the ending, but it really felt like the whole movie was building to something and it didn't quite get there. So overall, if I were going to rate this movie, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. It didn't quite live up to the A24 standards for me, but it was still a really good movie. It still had some really cool moments and some really cool scenes and some really cool dialogue, but at the end of the day, it did feel a little bit like a Tarantino ripoff. Alright guys, well thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe down below for more reviews. And also, we're going to probably be putting out, probably sometime next week, some stuff to watch on Amazon Prime Video. And speaking of Amazon Prime Video, there is basically every A24 movie on there. And I can't stress enough, it's a great studio. I feel like a lot of the movies, they didn't get enough publicity. You had a couple ones that were nominated for Oscars and won Oscars, but just seriously check them out. There's some really good stuff there. So again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.